Tech is eating everything in all industries and
Yes.
everywhere it is going. That gives me a lot of comfort that I'm a techie. Engineering is not about coding. I'm very optimistic about AI and India. The customer feedback and customer interaction is the best thing a startup can have. We were also we were enjoying the process. That was the most important thing. For first 4 years, by the way, we were like zero revenue company.
How could you survive in that?
I'll tell you one very simple thing. I think we were stupid. And that's why we did it. Because of that, we were successful.
We have really the great engineering talent now,
Yeah.
the pipeline. But what should they do actually?
So I have 3 things, I think. One is be curious. Number 2, create something. Third is, I think, don't worry. I think I see a lot of young folks coming to, AI is coming. AI is coming, Game of Thrones, people keep saying winter is coming. Work from home becomes very transactional. When you're in office, a lot of creativity is and so on.
Welcome to Innovators Playground, NPCI's tech podcast, created to inspire engineers to come forward and build for India. In this podcast, we speak about breakthrough innovations, DPIs that India has built, some of the great platforms has been built on top of DPIs to serve millions and billions of Indians to move forward to the digital financial services. Let me introduce Lalit Keshre, founder and CEO of Groww, who is an IT engineer and a hardcore techie who has worked tirelessly last 10 years to build the group. Lalit, welcome to NPCI's podcast. Thank you for agreeing to do Innovators podcast for NPCI. Let's start the session. How do you see the open source value, open source contribution to grow, and how do you actually look at this whole open source revolution, evolution, if I may say?
First of all, thank you so much for inviting on the podcast. On the open source thing, we use a lot of open source. Of course, the enterprise version, because you need you also in one way support open source by taking the enterprise versions. But I don't think we would have been able to build the platform without open source. Right from frameworks like Kubernetes or Kafka. And since the beginning, our kind of platform has been built with that. The way I see it is that the tech innovations mostly happens by developers and people who want to kind of contribute to the world and so on.
When you look at open source brings in its own issues, right, in terms of the community, and suddenly we see the risk of some big giant buying them over, right? And again, you suddenly from open source you're forced to the license version. So how do you strategize, how do you select, how do you look at those
Got
issues?
it. So this is a very good question. So I think we always chose frameworks or any tool which had very solid historical kind of. So you can't test out any new stuff. So in tech world also, there's every day you will see some
Something new.
new thing coming up and so on. So by design, because we are and for us, reliability, security, everything is just so important. We can't just use any untested stuff and so on. So we went with kind of things, for example, Java. So we started with Java, right? And it's there's such a huge community of that language. All the tools, if you talk about, right, we used all well tested open source tools. We made some mistakes in early years, but later on I think we kind of moved back to everything very, very.
How's your personal interaction open source? How did you get there? And
To be very candid, now I don't code anymore. I mean, of course, I do vibe coding on the weekends, write some apps and so on. So I started as an engineer. I coded for maybe around 8 years or 8 to 10 years. First in hardware languages. So I was a microelectronics engineer. So we used to code in these languages called Verilog and VSDL. You write chip design and so on. And then when I did my first startup, I coded in Python and used again there also we used open source frameworks like Django. I don't know if I mean that was very popular at that. We're very easy, anybody can get started and so on. Never been so into contributing in open source, but I remember one incident at when I was studying. We used to design this PCBs, right? Like, so I was in microelectronics, and when you design a PCB, there is a file that you generate after designing, which people can use again. So I don't know what happened. We used to work in the night, like, late nights, and we used to call night out. So all the night you work, and if it worked, and we uploaded that image, that's called an image, updated an image on a website. Next day we saw like there were like thousands. Now we talk about millions, but there were like thousands of downloads, and I was like so elated, so happy. Like, I did not get that happiness even while completing that project, but got more happiness when people
People
downloaded that
downloaded that.
downloaded that image, which was like,
So you started with open source contribution journey very early.
yeah, but I think I need to do more. We as a company also, we need to kind of contribute a lot more. But the growth, I mean, touch wood, like growth has been very good and so on. So we've always been kind of struggling to manage the scale. And I don't think we got a breathing space. Okay, we can think, well, let's now start contributing to open source. I hope that those times will also come.
At NPCI also we are trying to incentivize people basis now as a key criteria to the open source contribution now. So those are the kind of changes at NPCI we are also doing. And I think this moves us to the next question, right? When you started Grow, what were the first principles for the tech choices? And how do you, when now you reflect back, how how you have fled, how you what are the right things happened? You found the early mistakes, you made a kind of change management and revisited those assumptions or principles.
So that's a great question. So I think I'll tell you maybe some good decisions we took, and then some mistakes that we made. So one good decision was using a very, very, as I said, like very, very time tested, proven frameworks to start the, like, build everything, right? So right platformization, having a distributed architecture. Our org structure is also like very distributed pod structure, and kind of that also maps well to our tech structure, so that people have independence and they can move fast and so on. That also created some problems later on. I'll come to that. And then also another thing was investing heavily in our in-house stuff. See, nowadays you can build a startup by kind of, okay, getting this third party service, and you can assemble this and kind of launch very fast and so on. We realized that the scale that we were imagining, I think it would fail. Like, all those B2B third party services, they typically are good if you're running like a small kind of, at small scale and so on. We wanted to scale significantly, so we invested from day one. Like, we invested heavily in our own infrastructure, in our own kind of services and so on. So microservices based. So those were turned out to be good. Now, what did not workout is, so and that's also like around 22 we realized, around year 22, that we kept on building, so it is all distributed, but it became like a distributed monolith. What I
Monolith.
mean by that is, like, there is a microservice running here, there is but then there is just so much
So much
interdependence. It's like
interdependent.
noodles, like,
Yeah,
it's like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
everything and so on. So although it is distributed, it is still kind of like a monolith, and the scale, like, growth was very fast, and we are very grateful. Like, I mean, nothing like growth. So growth kind of teaches you lot more. But then we kind of pulled our socks and, like, kind of tried to kind of simplify it and move towards simpler platformization and so on. Another mistake was the platform choice for the front end. Like, for if you want to launch fast, you pick a framework, you Android pe bhi chal jaye, Android pe bhi chal, Android, iOS,
iOS
and
पे
then on web and everything, and then it's suboptimal because you don't utilize the power of the platform. It was another 1 year cycle, kind of get to the native components and all those kind of things. So overall, I also feel that you never get done. So because you take some decision, and those decisions last you for like maybe 3 years, 4 years, and then there is no point in building for 10 years down the line. You build for next like 2 3 years, and then again you keep building. So I have an opinion that tech debt is always good. There is no point in building everything and then there is no customer.
No, I think it's a great point, and we at NPCI also process large scale. We do about 15 billion APIs daily, and I think the whole conversation is about how are you ready for the 10x, right? Because this whole open source story works very well. I'm saying look at the in memory or Kafka message queue or a high speed DB, but when you get them together, right, on a completely commoditized hardware, right, it has to function at that scale in a horizontally scalable manner. I think this, you spoke about this simplicity, right? And maybe we could talk about some of the things on how do you ensure that simplicity is protected when the new code is written? How's your that whole DevOps cycle, the code review or the DevOps cycle or the change management cycle is tied to your principles, what you spoke about?
Simplicity is the most complex thing, I feel.
It's easy to speak about it.
Yeah, its complexity is like gravity. Like, no matter how simple you start, you will keep getting more and more towards complexity. What we did was, again, credit to Neeraj and his team, continuously fighting this complexity thing and so on. It starts from like the product side, right? So product, now the thing is that you can build everything. One thing that we realize is that you don't need to build everything. You need to build what customers really want, and that kind of solves some of the problems. Second thing is, you build an architecture which enables people to build whatever they want. The way we have designed the org is like we have pod structure. Now there are like 10 products, more than 10 products we have, and they are very, very small teams like startups running on those products. But they don't build the infra. So there is a platform layer which is like common across everybody. The job of platform layer is to kind of manage scale, provide what basic services these application folks need, and let them ship faster quality code and so on. But then they run independently. So that is how Neeraj and his team build the architecture.
When you're saying the platform layer, whatever resource you're using, right, there is a layer which has been built by you.
Yes.
So for example, there is a layer for Kafka.
Yes.
There's a layer for a database or
Everything. Yeah.
everything.
So database also, for example, DB layer we built ourselves. Like,
Ourselves.
we don't use any, again, third party kind of. We invested a lot of time, like I think a year or so, to build that ourselves, and that then that is
Fantastic.
kind
So
of used
that
by
brings some sort of a standardization as well.
standardization. Yeah.
And while you are building the platform layer, it also takes care of the resiliency part of
Yes.
or the error management or those
Yes.
kind of things, which is which otherwise every team is solving.
Yes.
So that you have kind of ensured that. So what you're saying is, let me again try to understand. So what you're saying is, most of the developers are building for the what customer wants.
Yes. And then there is a very lean team. Like there is a lean team which is in charge of the platform. And in platform, there are some use cases which are like lot more application side also, which are common across all the pods.
So every engineer is actually contributing to back to your adding more experience to the consumer or a feature or
Yeah, so they are like customer to this platform team.
Yeah.
They are for platform team. These are the okay. We need this much scale. We need this much so capacity and those kind of things. Yeah.
Fantastic. I keep talking to this to many tech founders or the CTOs who are dealing with scale. How do you look if there are problems, right? And when you build such a complex infra, the observability becomes a key issue, right? I'm saying where exactly the problem is. How do you deal with that aspect? Because finally, it just comes back to a single platform, right? I'm just
Yeah.
saying while multiple pods are coming, somewhere it converges back to the single app,
Yeah.
single platform, and then you talk to the market, right?
Yeah.
Whether you talk to the UPI system, whether you talk to the NSE, BSE, the trading platforms, or the mutual fund houses, your internal platform and the external
Yeah.
ecosystem, right? Both has to work in complete sync to deliver that experience.
Yeah. No, I think so I have 2 points here. Like one is, it's a observability is something which you don't think about when you kind of, when you
Correct.
start.
That's a mistake every
And
developer
that's the
does.
biggest mistake that
Biggest
you do.
mistake.
And then it hits you like, let's say you have 1 million, 1 million traffic coming on the app. Even if you have designed observability for, let's say, 1 million traffic, at 10 million, you will fail. So you have to continue investing in observability. And this realizations come little late. Like, you're a startup, you start with 100 users. You say, okay, 100 to me, I am checking like, when we had 100 users, I would to check like directly, on the DB, and you will write query, and you will and you don't have anything much to do, so you keep writing queries and seeing various kind of patterns and so on. Then you have 1,000, then you have 10,000 and so on. Second thing is this third party thing, right? So our systems are very complicated in the way that we depend on a lot of third parties. If you don't have right observability system, I think you will spend like 70-80% of time in just finding out where the problem is. We had our own share of kind of challenges, but as they say, like, you learn as you go.
Brilliant. And some of the thoughts what you're reflecting on, exactly matches for NPCI as well. And I think it's a fresh coding required. Lalit, your segment is fairly diverse, right? You are building for uh, the complete demographics, the complete even from the income standpoint,
Yeah.
right? You're truly make in India kind of a company, supporting 50, 100 million consumers with such a diverse needs and demands from the platform. How do you design something for such a large amount of stakeholders who has very different asks?
So that's the kind of abstraction that we kind of try to do. So let's say at the user layer, like there are some use cases. Like, one is like, as you said, like there are a lot of HNIs on the platform, and then there are people doing like 5,000 rupees SIPs or 1,000 rupees SIPs and so on.
Or now 100?
100, it's still like we are not there. I mean,
Yeah,
just to be
it's still
very,
not there.
like, we are still not there yet. I think once we get to 100 rupees SIP, we'll have like 200 million or
Oh
300
wow,
million MF
that's
investors
a
in the country
potential
and so on,
10x
right?
story.
Yeah. So that's the other thing. Then there is the activity level. Now there are people, let's say I'm investing. You can do it in few milliseconds. But then there are like high free like traders. There are like millions of traders at the same time buying some, either they are trading in derivatives or intraday or whatever, and it has to be microsecond kind of stuff, right? And then there are other constraints. Like there are like features, multiple features. Some features are very high DAU, some features are like low DAU.
Yeah.
Some features needs to have very high reliability, like payments, for example, or this order management system or risk management system. And there are some are like cosmetic. Okay, agar if, like, if this logo does not look good, customer does not lose money, right? And so on. So we have this framework where, what is the order of magnitude in terms of customers level, and then there is this, which is the intensity level, which is like no feel of pain, and then reliability matters there. Another framework that we have is 0 to 1, 1 to 10, 10 to 100. If you are doing any changes in 10 to 100, like it goes through like crazy amount of review process, right? It has to kind of, everybody is involved there, bunch of reviews. 1 to 10, again, it is basically kind of, it can impact like millions of customers. If it is 0 to 1, you are testing it and it is not involving like customers money in those kind of user flows, then you can move ship fast. So shipping velocity is different across this foundational team. What we talked about, the infrastructure, they move like very slow.
Yeah.
They need to move very slow
Yeah.
because they can't like keep deploying every day. But the top layer guys, they can keep deploying every day because there's a small use case, you quickly test and deploy.
Fantastic. I think I love the idea on you manage the velocity of the people, how fast they can contribute or how slow they should contribute to the
Yeah.
platform.
Another thing is that there are people meant for that kind of thing. So if I look at my behavior, I can't be in that, like, infra team
Yeah.
because I am hyper. I need to ship everything every day, right? And so on. And those kind of folks are, they think scale. They can foresee scale.
Yeah.
And then there are these folks who are like, customer ne aaj ye manga, I want to ship it tomorrow.
Yeah.
And those kind of. So they are very different attitudes of people also.
This is my favorite thing. I keep talking about there is so much for India to build, right? And when I look at our engineers, we have built the India stack. Nandan has been involved. He's been a kind of guiding force to build this whole Aadhaar stack. Then he's with us to build payment stack, and variety of new things are happening. How do you see that? The next level of DPIs on how do you foresee that? What's your advice for the engineers that what do you think is the future in this whole DPI story, or what are the still pain points
Yeah.
in the ecosystem which needs to be solved either by the startup or by
Yeah.
fintechs or by the entities like NPCI, UIDI, or ONDC for that matter?
Since we talked about DPI, we owe a lot to DPI. Grow would not have existed without. So, be it, digital onboarding, Aadhaar, KYC, UPI. We were the first ones, by the way, who supported UPI.
I was actually encouraging you to get there.
Yeah. And so DPI is a platform where, so again, since we're talking about platforms, so DPI is like a platform which enables startup like us, and hopefully it will enable like, hundreds of more startups that will grow very, very large and so on. Second thing is what challenges he, so Nandan envisioned this, Dilip, you built NPCI and so on. I think we have got a good start with your leadership, right?
Yeah.
If we can have like, 10 more Dilip and Nandan, I think we will be kind of, like just imagine today, UPI is like, is a role model for the entire world, not just for India.
When we were talking to Nandan and team, that they were doing virtually the entire dedupe in just like 24 or 36
So
hours.
this is marvelous engineering.
Yeah,
This is
crazy
like
engineering.
crazy engineering, right? Even UPI, for example, the number of QPS or the number of transactions. So what I'm trying to say is that we are. So it's not like we are behind or anything. We are there. The talent is there, and so on. And then we have visionaries like you folks, and so on. I think we are so well set, and we can continue building. And especially with AI, I think I agree with what Nandan says. There's lot will be done. Let's at the application layer or at orchestration level layer or anything. So the developer talent, the number of developers that we have, I think nobody can compete with that right today.
I think let's shift to AI. You spoke about AI, and at NPCI, before you tell your views, I want to just tell you NPCI has been building models for last 4 5 years. Every transaction processed by NPCI has a risk score. It's a real time inference, about 40 50 models for the fraud risk, mule. And I somewhere kept thinking that we were very good on AI. But last 1 year, we are completely blown away with this whole revolution. While the OpenAI has been doing this for last 3 years, but last 1 year has been completely mad. We are also reflecting that what are we doing in AI, and whether it's an incredible job which world will look at NPCI for the AI work. While some things are in progress, how do you see this in Grow, and maybe you could elaborate your vision. What is the current state, future state on the use of AI, or the disruptions what AI is
Yeah.
going to bring in?
The speed at which things are happening is like mind boggling. I'm very paranoid about how it's going to disrupt everything. I think it is going to disrupt us like individuals, it is going to disrupt organizations in a very different way, and I am still kind of trying to figure out, but few things are clear. I think the speed now, I can say in our world, like, we used to ship like, okay, there is a 15-day, 2 week sprint cycle or 1 week cycle or one, and that is dead. Like that's like gone. Now people are shipping like every day. We used to talk about promotion from SD1 going to SD2 to SD3 and then manager and so on. I think that is dead. Like that is done. I think there will be much fewer layers. We used to talk about job descriptions like, okay, there is a product manager, there is a designer, there is analytics, there is an engineering. In engineering also, there is a front end engineer, back end engineer, QA quality engineer, there's an
The
infra
the
engineering.
database expert. I think variety of roles we created.
Exactly. So now I think all done. Like, all done. So speed, the org structures, the layering and everything, the functional, what is it called? Like, functional boundaries, and then automation, like, coding. So people say it will disrupt engineering and so on. I think it will take some time, but coding is disruptive. Coding is different from engineering, right? One thing what will work for at least for next few years, we don't know when AGI and all those kind of things come, but thinking, creativity, imagination. AI is still like today average of whatever they are kind of training the models on and so on. But if you want something outlier, you will have some job there right now.
While our team still kept on insisting on this deep expertise on variety of different open source modules, and I kept on telling them the only way we'll survive is the full stack developer. And now it's a full stack AI developer, right? I'm just saying that's what
Yeah,
I think our requirement is, just a single job description,
yeah,
right? Are you a full stack AI developer?
yeah,
Then come inside, and it's going to be easy, right? And we have been chatting about it. The some of the experiences you were narrating, that in the Silicon Valley, how people are building. Maybe you want to talk about that. The youngsters building. So
yeah.
the way you spoke about the experience collapsing, the designation collapsing, the function. I love it actually. The functions collapsing. So how do you see the future, or what should this young engineers should do while they are doing the engineering?
Yeah, no, I'm actually not worried about young folks, young engineer. I'm worried about the old folks
Like us.
like like me, because see, I think young folks are faster in adopting things and so on. I think I was talking to a startup founder just 2 days back, and he said that they are experimenting with hiring high school students, which is like crazy. all the lot of startups that are being built, AI startups that are being built in the valley are like 20, they're in 20s, mostly 20s, right? 20 to 30s and so on. So I think to be kind of in short, like I'm not very sure yeah, folks.
Yeah, who's right now. But I think the point that I was saying that if the formative 4 years or 5 years of engineering, a lot can be done
Yes.
while doing the engineering. As a country, if we want to build a lot, right, in next 20-25 years, there's this 4 year cycle or 5 year cycle, right? Now you're talking about from high school itself, right? So while preparing for your J's and everything, I think this whole story of 6 to 7 years what people spend, right,
Yeah.
in this, including their engineering cycle,
Yeah.
is going to be very formative.
Yeah.
That what they're going to build for the country, right?
Yeah.
And it's so fascinating to see that the country needs so much. There is a huge demand on how much India can do and what
Yeah.
India needs,
Yeah.
and we have really the great engineering talent now,
Yeah.
the pipeline. But if what should they do actually to really ensure that their one is their aspiration, their
Yeah.
skill set, and their actually outcome matches to what India needs?
So I have three things. I think one is be curious. I can give you some questions. For example, if I would think about, so we talked about Aadhaar architecture, 1.4 billion Aadhaar. There is this DDoP itself. Like just think about it. How do they do it, right? So how does NPCI work? How do they manage like QPS, and how do they kind of maintain the reliability? Like if you are on a shop and paying, and then if the act comes like 2 minutes delayed, like the transition would not happen, right? So those kind of things. So be curious about how the world around, how the LLM works. So now people are using LLM, but like it's so phenomenal when you read about how it really works, right? And so on. So be curious. Number two, create something. When you do something, then only like something kind of like you get the feeling. So like you can't swim, just you need to feel the water. When you're coding, you need to like really feel how things work and so on, right? So that is second. And third is, I think, don't worry. Like I think I see a lot of young folks coming to AI is coming. Like AI is coming, like Game of Thrones, people keep saying winter is coming, people keep saying, oh, AI is coming. Like AI is coming. So like, but if you keep worrying, then you will
Worrying, yeah,
like
yeah.
you will be kind of bulldozed.
Just
So
experience
yeah,
it,
you're wasting
experience
your
it.
energy because you can't do anything about it. It is coming. People are not going to stop working on it. So I think these are the kind of things that if I get back into my college, I would do this. Yeah,
Yeah, I think we spend a lot of time doing Pascal programming and all these things, giving exams. But I think this
I
is
did Fortran.
Votran, yeah, yeah, same likewise. When we spoke about AI, how are you actually using it in the business? And does this whole this the LLM architectures, the cost of inferencing, and the overall how are you building the fully AI powered Grow?
So we look at it in two ways. One is, of course, from the consumer side of the things, and second is on the productivity side of the things. So in consumer side of the things, the simple question is how can you evolve the customer experience, right? Through personalization or through like a bunch of things there. And on productivity side, of course, how can we be more efficient, faster, higher quality, and so on. And these are the two kind of frameworks. On the cost side, currently my thought process that let's not worry about the cost, because eventually tech, like when I was in college, the internet bandwidth was just so expensive. And if I were to optimize, or let me kind of make it cheap sometime, maybe. So we are anyways converging to like, very, very small marginal kind of cost world and so on. So if you just compare the token like cost of AI like 1 year and now, it's like phenomenal difference, and it will continue kind of. So don't worry about it too much. That's kind of hurting us a bit in India, because not from the cost perspective, but the leverage of AI versus like innovation, AI innovation. You can always put like you can always set up like non-automated way of doing things, because it
Yeah.
will still be cheaper. In US, it's not so, and I think that's one of the reasons why that AI adoption is much faster in the US. I am very optimistic about AI and India.
So Lalit, tell me what's the culture at Grow? When an engineer is in your office, how's the culture surrounding? Do you have games? Do how do you deal with this whole? You spoke about the high productivity, deep tech outcome, right? How do you create that around
Yeah.
Grow?
The most important thing is how it starts. So basically, what we have learned, the existence of Grow, right? The existence of Grow is to basically democratize wealth for India, right? And if you just understand just one thing, that it is not possible without tech. So it's the backbone, right?
Bone, yeah.
So once you understand that, then everything revolves around that. And then if you look at the top level also, like I've been an engineer. All my three co-founders were engineer. Although we wear different hats. I don't do engineering anymore, but I wear a product hat. But like we talk about day in day out about that, so tech enables access. So let's say today, even if you look at today's penetration in India, look at any product, investing, credit, insurance, UPI, of course you are done like you are top of funnel for all of us. But it's not possible without tech. So when it becomes like the backbone, then you have, that's the kind of, that becomes like engineering becomes the core. And then you have a lot of rituals, like, engineering is not about coding. That's like a biggest misconception. Like what I have learned is that you spend less time in coding nowadays. Like coding is anyways getting kind of disrupted and so on.
So how does the office look like? I'm just saying there are games there, or it's
Yeah, there are games. I mean, it's been long I went to that part of the office, but there are like bunch of games people. So we have work from home. Oh, we were sorry, work from office. We don't do work from.
same like in NPCI, and I get a lot of beating from NPCI employees, like
Likewise.
beat me up like anything. If you call yourself a deep tech company, and Bangalore has been a big spoiler on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
on this part.
Yeah, but we have been very opinionated on that. Like we were work from home when there was pandemic and so on. But what we realize is it becomes very transactional.
Yeah.
When you are work from home. It's like I will tell somebody this, and then there will be contra. Like, it's like more transactional. When you're in office, a lot of creativity, a lot of and in the age of AI, I think creativity and insights and those are big, thinking big. Those are the only thing that will remain with us. Work from home, I think, kills everything. It works very good for like MNCs and so
No,
on.
and the BPO, and I keep telling my guys also that we are not a BPO, and when you are with people, your learning is 10x. Your interaction gives you the high energy. You drive energy from people around.
And I love the energy. Like where you go in the office, and then if you see like empty, like everything, it does not feel like
Feel like,
you
yeah.
have to talk to people. I mean, talk to engineers and so on, right? So it's like you need that energy.
In fact, in NPCI, we have policy now. 8 is late. So actually, the guard takes the people out at 8 o'clock,
Okay.
because at 8 o'clock, if you come to NPCI office, and you will see such a high energy conversations, calls, and
So in Bangalore, you can't do that. But we are very flexible. So people, so although it is work from office, but then people can choose to, let's say if there's high traffic, there's rains and so on, you can work from home. So it's very flexible. And then there are discussions. So we have like a lot of, all the time I see, if you walk on the floor, like people are discussing, talking. I love that kind of energy.
I can't let you go, because you come from a small town in Madhya Pradesh, and how did this whole thought of IIT and engineering occur to you? I don't know, how is the surrounding.
Yeah. So I see. I've been very lucky since my parents stay in a village, but then I studied with my grandfather. Like a lot of he influenced me a lot and so on. So there was an English medium school just started. So I was lucky that it was starting at that time. I got into that. And then around, I was in 11th grade or something, I saw a library, and I used to read a lot. In library, I saw this book called IIT. And I asked my principal. Teachers did not even know. So I asked my principal what is. She told me that these are the most prestigious, very tough kind of to get into, so on and so on. So I kind of started kind of reading. And then my grandfather's boss, उनके घर पे they used to get this newspaper, Times of India. It was one day late because you don't
Yeah,
get the same day
correct.
Times in a smaller city. So nobody used to read there. So he used to get me at my home. And then I opened Times, and then I saw the ad of brilliant tutorials. Chennai, there's a Chennai
Yeah,
based
yeah, of course. Yeah,
postal course.
yeah.
I still remember the address because I wrote them so many times. So I started that postal course,
Wow.
and I was good in math. I hated the other subjects. I did not hate, but I did not understand physics, chemistry too much. But maths like was my strong area. So somehow kind of I got in.
It's very inspiring that you could do this at when because today the cohort, right, without a cohort, without anybody else
See, at
around
that
you.
time, I think to be fair, like now it has become very competitive. I think when I wrote J, I don't know the numbers now, but it was not. so competitive like how it is today.
Still, I'm just saying that working on this postal arrangement, and I think it's so
Yeah,
inspiring, so
yeah. No,
inspiring.
that was very good course. I think yeah.
Again, I think your kind of ambition and supported by the learning, you're calling it luck, but I think there is nothing called as luck when
No, I believe. I mean, if I look at
your
my life,
ambition and your efforts and
yeah,
your desire and how you focus actually. How did this grow happen? How did this multiple startups you got into? How did you think about this idea and how did you pursue?
so Grow started in 2016. I got out in 2004 from IIT, and in IIT I got excited about investing in stocks. So you don't know about stock market or stocks or so on. One of my wingmates got into internship at some company, and I got to know it is listed. What does it mean that you can buy a share? 80 rupees share it was. And I got like super excited ki you can own the company. I used to get some stipend. I got like 80 rupees. I don't know how much I bought, but and then it was stayed. I got into this rabbit hole. And then on the other side, I was doing engineering. Like I was doing digital signal processing, video algorithms, and so on. So I started with this startup called EduFlix, which is like the The way I was preparing was very painful, no teachers and so on. So you create like a education tech company where teachers could create videos
Yeah,
and stream
yeah,
and so on.
yeah,
It did not last. Joined Flipkart. So coming back from when we were at Flipkart, we started thinking about okay, what next? Education I did not do. I did not want to do again.
yeah,
I still feel that
yeah.
you can build like still there is this big
But
scope, but
it's a hard problem to solve.
it's a hard yeah, everything is hard problem. But I think the 3 years of kind of that grueling, it sucked out of energy from me. I thought I'll do something else, and that experience of opening the account so many years back
Stayed in your
stayed in
mind.
my mind. And then I met Harsh, Ishan, Neeraj, like crazy set of folks. I mean, again, I'm lucky there that I got in touch with them somehow. We started, and financial services looked like very ripe. So
Yeah.
this time also I was more logical. Like earlier, it was lot more just pure engineering thinking.
Yeah.
And then experience with Flipkart, failure of startup, that got me some product and business thinking as well. You look about okay, what is the market size, what is your right to win, how will you play, and so on. So that's like we thought we
And
can.
actually, it just struck me you're part of that Flipkart mafia gang. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm saying many startups came out of
Flipkart, yeah.
Flipkart,
Yeah.
and I think it must be an amazing journey. But I think this is whole the investing, the rules, because starting something new, and I'm sure some of the other startups would have felt, right, creating a fintech in a regulated area,
Yeah.
right, would need a lot of understanding of the space. How did you get that business domain, or how could you survive in that?
So I'll tell you one very simple thing. I think we were stupid, and that's why we did it.
Yeah.
Like I think because of that we were successful.
Because you had no idea
We
the
had
complexity,
absolutely no idea of
no the complexity.
see, if I had known, Dilip, that it is so complicated,
Yeah.
I would probably I would have done something. So I mean, just being very candid, like we were a bit kind of ignorant in my like, and we were also like we were enjoying the process. Like that was the most important thing. For first 4 years, by the way, we were like zero revenue company, and you're just kind of doing, you're coming to office every day, having fun, customer feedback. So one best thing about us was like it worked. Like for first 1 year we were kind of dabbling multiple ideas and so on, but when it started working, the customer feedback and customer interaction is the best thing a startup can have. And then it gives you direction to kind of keep moving, and it becomes very exciting. I mean, you keep learning. Regulations came like later, but before that, domain itself is so complicated. And then regulations come, and then business, like making money. We did not even think that how will we, when we started, we thought okay, we will just like internet model, right? We were like kids of internet models and so on. We thought okay, we'll figure out something.
No, I think the principle of building engagement first, I think pays off, is what I've seen. If you're able to build engagement,
Yeah,
I think the
yeah.
revenues and the business model emerge, right, over the period.
I am a strong believer in that. So engagement plus, so there are four things in my model, like acquisition. So you can't be spending money and acquiring customer. Engagement, of course. Engagement tells you how useful you are to the customer, right? Third is customer love, right? If customers still don't love you, you can become replaceable. And lastly, how long retention, like how long can you kind of be with the product, right? So that's why UPI is a great product. You will, like, you will always pay somebody.
Pay somebody. Yeah. No, fantastic. Let's move to some fun thing, rapid fire
Yeah.
questions. One financial mistake people make.
The biggest mistake people make is that they think that it is exciting. Wealth building is exciting. You need to trade. You need to kind of be there, right? Lot of wealth is built by just being boring, just watching it. Do SIP, just keep watching, and don't kind of hyperactivity is enemy of
Hyperactivity
good
is
financial.
negative.
Yeah, yeah,
One of the book or podcast you would like to recommend
yeah.
to the engineers or techies.
So I would recommend two very extreme books. One is on the creativity side, which is Lord of the Rings,
Lord of the Rings.
which I read in my college, and like it opened like lot for me, right? Crazy, crazy. And I recommended my this book to my daughter, and she took like 3 years. So kids don't listen to their parents, so it took her 3 years, 4 years to kind of listen. But once she got into hooked into it, she's like now a fan and so on, right? So that is one. And second extreme side on the engineering side is my co-founder Neeraj recommended this like just around 6 months back, which was AI engineering, which is a beautiful book, very well written. I don't typically read tech books, but this one I read and found it very, very good.
Fantastic. Your favorite movie?
Lot of them, like I think I nowadays I don't get to watch, but I just recently I watched a movie called Network. It's
Yeah,
1976.
yeah.
Have you seen?
Yes, I've
It's
seen that.
it won bunch of Oscars.
Yeah.
It kind of tells the today's story. Like there's so much foresight in that movie. Phenomenal movie.
The next big tech innovation you think?
I think understanding human behavior, right? I think it's like in the productive way. So some folks have understood and created reels and and feeds and so on. I think that has kind of done more harm. But yeah,
One word to describe the fintech industry today.
I think thriving.
Thriving. Yeah. Even I
Yeah,
think so.
yeah. Thanks to UPI and DPI and everything.
One advice you want to give to engineers of tomorrow? I think you spoke a lot.
Yeah, I already spoke. Like be curious, create something, and don't worry.
One key learning of while your journey of building Grow to this level, what it is.
I think two learnings I would say. One is like customer is everything in business, like customer is everything. And second is you need good folks to work with. You should just feel like getting up in the morning and you should feel like, oh, I would go and talk to this
Talk
person,
to this
right?
person. Yeah.
So magic happens only if kind of you have those kind of folks in your life.
Build a Grow. You're a very successful entrepreneur. What keeps you excited about the future of this whole tech evolution and other?
No, I think what excites me most is if you look at the graph of tech, how tech is impacting the world. Tech is eating everything, right? In all industries and
Yes.
everywhere it is going. That gives me a lot of comfort that I'm a techie. And there will be a lot of inefficiencies in the world. There will be a lot of growth that will happen in the world and so on. And tech will drive that. And I see myself kind of finding those opportunities, continue even in Grow, like, continue finding opportunities where I can create some difference, right, in this world as a techie.
Keep thinking that what is the impact you're making on a continuous basis. It's not
Yes.
just one day, 1 week, 1 year.
Yeah, it's compounding, right?
Compounding,
Like,
yeah.
yeah.
Thank you so much for spending time with us, and we at NPCI grateful to you, and
No, I am
we
grateful. I am grateful.
candid conversation, very open conversation, and I'm sure the engineers watching this podcast would learn a lot.
No, I am actually grateful, not just for inviting me in this podcast, but overall, like what NPCI has done for startups like Grow. I think I'm being very candid and very honest. Like, I don't think we would have existed without DPI and NPCI,
No, I
UPI and
think
so on.
I think it's not about one organization, right? I think the beauty of this whole story is ecosystem, right? We have been able to create this such a great ecosystem, financials, and then thanks to government, RBI, to kind of allow us to build this, right, in a very responsible manner, right? I think the responsible innovation word is kind of back of my
Responsive and
mind.
inclusive also, I feel.
Inclusive as well,
Yeah.
right? I'm just saying it's so fantastic, and
Yeah.
I cannot thank enough them
Yeah.
to kind of enable this, right? And
Yeah.
they are in the policy making side. For them to take a risk, support innovation must be so
Yeah.
so difficult, right? But still, I think as a country, the prime minister, the government officials, the policymakers, regulators are really, kind of enabling us to build for the future. And I
Yeah.
think that's a greatness which I believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you again.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Lalit, thank you so much for spending time with us. I'm sure it's going to inspire millions of engineers who are studying or who are inspiring to be engineers themselves. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for them to learn and grow from the experiences that you shared with us. For any questions, comments you have about the podcast, or if you want us to ask any questions to our guest on this podcast, please write back to us